So good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Frequency Soul Collective. My name is Beck McQuilty, for those of you who I haven't met before. And if you're jumping on this call today, I would just ask if you could please mute yourself as you come on in. Amazing, because we can hear lots and lots of background noise. Sorry. I would really ask if you could please ensure that you're muting when you jump on these calls. I'd be really, really grateful. I've asked the beautiful Tammy Ward this morning to jump on with our incredible team as our team continues to grow worldwide, which is so exciting. That's why Saturday morning is a great time here in Australia to be able to do a call, as it's Friday afternoon in the United States and Canada. We have our team from Canada and the US on today. So welcome to all of you, and welcome to all of our new QLAs as well. So just a little bit about myself. As I say, my name is Beck McQuilty. I live on the southwest side of Brisbane in Queensland, Australia, with my husband and my beautiful little girl, Addison, who I'm sure you'll all get to meet at some point if you haven't done already. My background is in corporate sales training. My job was to write and train all around Australia, which I absolutely loved before moving into the health and wellness space. So I'm now a fully qualified neuro-linguistic kinesiologist, holistic counselor, but I specialize in psychic counseling and, of course, now bioresonance. It's exciting to be here this morning with you all because we are going to bring on Tammy Ward, and I would ask that if you do have questions for her, if you could please put them in the chat. I'd also like just to, bring forward the point that if it is a question that is relevant to basic training in the university, it is a question that I may skip or may ask you to go back to the training of, because we really want to make use of Tammy's time today as best we possibly can. She is an absolute wealth of information, and she is currently the top leader in the world for SoulX. So whether your questions are around the device, the technology, how to build your business, whatever that looks like, I would ask you to please put all of your questions in the chat, because that is how we're going to be asking those questions today. So good morning, Tammy Ward.
Good morning. Good evening for me.
Oh, good evening. I know. Gosh, I'm silly like that. I have to say hello. How are you?
Doing a wonderful.
Good to hear. Good to hear. We are going to have lots of questions for you today. I'm just waiting for people to drop them into the chat as we go. So I will read them as we go. I'm just going to go back to everyone. So for those of you who do have questions, please let's get started so we can maximize the time with Tammy today. So Tammy, I guess whilst we're waiting for those questions just to drop in, I wondered if you could just share a little bit about your journey, how you got into SoulX. I know some people have heard your story before, but we have a lot of new people on, which is really exciting. So I'd just love for you to share a little bit about yourself, your family, and how you got to be involved.
Okay. Well, let me think here. Back in '89, I did a course and learned how to do iridology. And the reason why I did that was because I was having some health issues, and I kind of was introduced to iridology that way. I was only about 17, 18 years old, and I wanted to be a doctor. Was going on that path, but then once this was introduced to me, I had no idea that there was any such thing as holistic stuff, and this lady let me know that, iridology is a holistic modality. And then once I learned about that, is like the whole world opened up for me. I did get a little bit away from my dreams because I had, 2 children, 2 boys. And my goal was to homeschool my children or unschool them. And that is, I was kind of crunchy before crunchy was even a thing. I have my youngest son was vaccine injured, or my oldest son was vaccine injured. My youngest son was a birth trauma baby. So because of that, we had lots of Oh, challenges. My youngest son had severe asthma and lots of health issues that we ended up going down the holistic road for. And that's where I became aware of homeopathy for the first time. So I've been using homeopathy for about 24 years now. I'm getting my doctorate right now in homeopathy as well as monastic medicine. And I should have that obtained probably in the next year, year and a half. Um, I absolutely love holistic health, and I about 4 years ago uh, started using more of a holistic means for my medical conditions and was able to get myself off of a lot of pain medication that I had been on. I was on antidepressants. I've got a very dark past. And then somebody introduced me to the Solex scanner. And once she, it was a friend of mine at the time, and I was like, I really don't want to get involved with a network marketing company. I'd been involved in network marketing. If any of y'all have heard of Tahitian Noni, Mirinda, I was part of that, and I was one of their top sales there. But then the group kind of got a little greedy and they started selling downlines. So I got a very nasty taste in my mouth about network marketing and said I would never do network marketing again. I had someone scan me with the scanner. She was in Pennsylvania. I was in Oklahoma. That's about 1,500 miles away from each other. She scanned me, sent me my report, and I said, "Holy cow! How does this thing know everything about me, every health condition that I had?" And she says, "Well, I'm not sure how to explain it, but I just know I just know it works." And so I said, "Well, sign me up because I need to have this in my life and with my clients." When you read iridology, when you read the irises, you really can't diagnose. You can kind of give predispositions, predispositions and things like that. But I thought the scanner would be an amazing marriage so that I could verify what I was seeing in the eyes. And it has proven to be such an amazing tool. So that is kind of where I'm at. I was able to quit my corporate job after being in the company. I started in September of 2020. By February of 2021, I had completely retired from the medical field as a medical biller. Left my corporate job there, and I've been doing this ever since. And I'm in love with my life. I love what we do.
I love that so much. And I think that, it's so interesting, Tammy, that, we feel like we have to do things a certain way. Well, I certainly was brought up that way and conditioned that way through growing up. And I know you homeschooled your children, which I absolutely love. And I'm homeschooling my daughter now too. And, you grow up with the sayings like it has to be hard to be worth it or this or that. But for someone to actually be able to sit here and say to us, I love my life, I love that so much. And that's how it should be for all of us. And that should be our goal. Things don't have to be hard, in the typical network marketing space. When I first came on board many, many years ago with another company, we were writing lists of everybody that we knew, and we were making ourselves feel uncomfortable going down to the butcher, trying to ask him questions to lead into why I could sell him my product, and it doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be this constant push. I feel like in the work of energy and frequency that we do, it's all about being in alignment. And so to hear you say that you are in love with your life, I absolutely love that so much. I just wanted to share. Okay, we better get to the questions, otherwise I'll go off on a tangent. Another one. Just another one. Okay, so iPhone asks, how many cycles should the 660 band last? Mine only seems to go for 4 to 5 45-minute sessions. To me, that's actually a lot, but you're lucky that you get 4 to 5 out of yours. I just put mine on charge. But did you want to sort of speak into that a little bit as to... That's about right.
That's about how many I get too.
Yeah.
4 to 5 sessions. That's it. And you got to charge it again. I think we charged this day before yesterday, and we both used it probably twice a piece so far, and it's still going. I mean, I just stuck it on. So
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, I love that. And I find too, I mean, I normally do mine morning and night, and then I just actually naturally sort of put it on charge anyway. So yeah, that's easy. I love that. Thank you. David asked a very good question of me yesterday, and he doesn't stump me very often, but he did yesterday. Thank you, David. And you are the perfect person to answer this question. David says, I use a lot of frequency hardware like something else. Lightwave, LifeWave, AquaCure, etc. My question is to do with stem cells. So LifeWave has obviously like the X39, blah, blah, blah. And I'm asking the perfect person here because I know you know the answer. Activates sleeping stem cells over 60. We are usually only have 2 to 5% stem cells, etc. The X39 regenerates your sleeping stem cells. What, if anything, in SoulX can we use, or is there anything stem cell related in the device? Great question, by the way.
Yes, I believe it is in your Cephi dots, and it is actually cellular. I'm pretty sure it's cellular restore.
Yes, cellular restore. Okay.
That has actually stem cell frequencies in it.
Amazing. That is absolutely brilliant, because the great thing about that is us being able to use Cephi dots and imprint the frequency of the cellular restore into that. That's brilliant. So that's, yeah, perfect. So David, I hope that, and I know that does answer your question, but that was a really good question that he completely stumped on yesterday. Angela asks, so if I had a hysterectomy at 34, so many years ago, it wasn't that long ago, stop it. She's still seeing like ovaries and other things like that coming up, and an area that is an empty space, except the energy I put in. My question is, can the scanner over time recreate the energy of the organs removed? I can only say I'm starting to feel in my body like I did prior to my hysterectomy.
My experience with this is that even though you have a missing organ or missing tissues, whatever that may be, and I've heard this across the board from a lot of the practitioners on my team, that they are also getting reports back that people feel as if they still have those organs. They're the energy of the organ is still there, regardless. Even if it's gone, you're still going to see it, show up on your report. The other thing is that, even when someone passes, I scanned Piggy Britches when she passed, and when her scan came up after she'd passed, her scan looked even better than it was when she was here and she was sick. So, in my mind, it's all about intention. And if you're intentionally running something and scanning and optimizing maybe your uterus or your ovaries or whatever that may be, then you're showing that love back to those organs, and they're going to respond to that. That is my thoughts behind it. May not be scientific, but that's what I believe, and I support that.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. The other question Ange wanted to ask is, in your opinion, with the trace minerals, is this the same as key minerals that you would take? So I guess the question is, would you replace those for like SolX Gold?
SolX Gold is more of your fulvic minerals, where your trace minerals are going to be a little different. So your fulvic minerals are coming from the earth, the microbiome from the earth, and then you have some different minerals that just appear in food. So you've got some different minerals there. One of the things that I've started doing, and I mean, you guys can look into this, is I take seawater to replace my minerals. So you take 10 to 30 mils a day, and that actually helps your body replace that mineral problem. So that's what I know about it.
Okay, beautiful. And I think that in the playlists that I generally do, if I've ever, because we can put up to 15 frequencies into a playlist, if I ever get to like 12 or 13 and I'm looking for a couple of extra, trace minerals and ultimate emotions always
Yes.
goes in there. They're
What
like
I do too.
go-tos. So yeah, that's really
And you
cool.
might even throw in complete frequency set, because that is the entire playlist of your quantum frequencies. So it's pretty much a shotgun approach. So
Oh,
if you don't know what's wrong with somebody as far as ailments are going, or which frequency is going to be best, you can throw complete frequency set in there. And that's kind of what I did with my mother right at the beginning, because we really didn't know what she was dealing with until I did multiple scans to figure out what was going on. And she responded very well to that.
thank you for sharing that, because do you know how many times I've seen that and I'm creating a playlist for someone and I go, oh, complete frequency set. And I keep going because I actually didn't know what it meant completely. So I would just go past it and think, I'm going to ask that one day. And to this day, I had not. So thank you.
Yeah,
So that's a really, oh my gosh, that's like a huge golden nugget. If
it is.
nothing else to do, yes, to add that into, like, even start the playlist with that and then go down from there. Beautiful. Thank you so much. I really I'm going to use that every single time now.
Yeah,
Um
that's found in quantum frequencies. It's I think your third button.
I just love the fact that you even know where it is. That's great.
I've been doing
me,
it too long.
I'm like, you'll find it. It's fine. Tammy's like, it's in quantum frequencies, about third down. Okay, great. That's awesome. Thank you.
Yes.
Now, Denise's question, and Denise, if this isn't answered in the right way, I think I know what you're meaning, but maybe just elaborate if I don't answer this correctly. But Denise is asking, in the reports that are generated with inner voice, could we just suggest ways to best interpret the info under the 4 headings? So what I think she's meaning is, let's say it says fear versus confidence. Could you explain what that means, please?
That is really just kind of a teeter-totter. It's basically you're either one or the other. So when you're reading that, it's not saying that you're dealing with either of those, but whatever resonates with you is probably the emotions that you're dealing with. So that's what you want to focus on. And just, don't put too much cloud into it. Really look at those emotions that are showing up under those categories, and see if you can't clear those every time. Get somebody that does emotion code, or if you do emotion code, then clear those emotions from time to time.
Yeah, awesome. And I think too, the way that I explain it is, let's say you're looking at fear versus confidence. You have fear at one end of the scale, you have confidence at the other end of the scale, and it means that there is an imbalance between the two. I would normally ask people to look probably further down the other end of the scale, more towards the negative is generally where it will sit, and that not everything is always going to resonate. So where it states the positive and the negative of those emotions, it's not that that person is going to feel all of those things, but the chances are that that person will be able to resonate with some of that. So that's great. So Denise, I hope that answers your question. If it doesn't, please just elaborate a little more in the chat and we can get a little bit more into it. Sue's question is just in regards to testimonials with children who have ADHD. One of her grandbabies has ADHD. So just also to a disclaimer, just where we sit for a moment, is that we do not claim to diagnose, mitigate, or cure any form of a dis-ease in the body or condition, that this is an educational tool only. I'm just putting that out there, but I love this question. It's really great. Sue was just explaining that, and we do see this a lot, vaccine injury. Do you know any personal stories, Tammy, around ADHD that you might be able to share?
I have several testimonials in my group. That is one of my wheelhouses. I love working with kiddos that have ADHD or even Asperger's, autism, any of those. I worked with a young kiddo that, and he's in Canada, and his mom has a scanner now, and she's on our team. But when I started, she was not on our team. But he has a very rare disease, but the biggest the biggest thing is he was a little bit nonverbal. He's going blind because of this disease, but he has the severe markers of ADHD. We started with him just inner voice because that is one of the things that I really put out there the most is inner voice. It is one of the biggest things that you can use. It's one of the most powerful things other than the Cephis, and just scanning and optimizing. But he, after probably about, I want to say 3 to 4 days into it, his mom sent me a picture with his glasses on his face. He had the tablet in his arms, and she said this would have never happened before these inner voice tones. She goes, I can't get him to sit down to do anything, and I'm like, oh, thank God. Well, as time has gone by, even his school teachers are like, he's in a special program. His school teachers are saying, Susan, what are you doing? And they said, well, we're just doing this, this frequency stuff remotely. We don't even really know how it works, but this is what's helping him. And they said, well, whatever it is, just keep doing it because now he's interacting with the other students in the classroom. And she goes, she just went to tears. She was just amazed by it. The other case that I can tell you about was a 21-year-old college student, and he was pretty much deaf. He had a hearing aid, so he was still, he could hear, but he was having a hard time. He struggled quite a bit with being bullied in school, and so then when they went to, um, when he went to college, uh, sorry, I got interrupted with a text that came across. It's like, anyway, I worked with him for 3, 4 months. We just did inner voice every day, every day. He went back to his doctor probably the second month. They did another hearing test, and they said this is impossible that he's getting his hearing back. And he was, and he had so much confidence. He was doing so much better in college, and this was all just the inner voice, you guys. And then I would broadcast Cephis for 30 minutes a day every day. That was all I did at that time, and now they own a scanner. So it has been an incredible device. That's just two of my top ADHD type of testimonials. But yeah, I have them in the group, and you guys are welcome. I'll try to pull them up in the group and just tag Frequency Soul Collective and see if it'll tag you.
Yeah, or even if you could share it into Frequency Soul Collective,
There,
that would
yeah,
be amazing too. That would
yes,
be
I can
awesome.
do
Thank
that.
you, Tammy. Yeah, I have been doing some work with a boy. He's autistic, and but I think he's like 30 now, and he's a really tall, like he's 6'2", and he's a big boy. Like he needs two full-time carers. And one of his carers, who I know quite well, says to me, he goes, man, since I've been running those frequencies for him, and like and just the inner voice is all that they've done for him so far. They're getting their own machine for him. He said it just calms him like you wouldn't believe. So yeah, it's amazing.
Yes.
There's a question here from Stephanie in regards to, is it too much to run frequencies overnight? Can I just share that whilst my husband's been away, obviously the time zones are very different. So whilst I'm going to bed, my husband's getting up at the moment and going to competition. So I created an entire playlist for him, for shooting, like sports enhancement, focus, strength, determination, and finish, all of those things, which is amazing. And so I would actually run that all night for him whilst I was sleeping, so that was really helping him during the day. Did you want to speak any more into answering that, Tammy, in regards to, is it too much to run frequencies overnight?
I don't believe so because as I know, frequencies, your body's only going to use what it needs. It's just like homeopathy. You could take an entire bottle of homeopathy, and if your body doesn't need it or want it, you're just going to pee out sugar pellet.
Yeah.
I mean, with the frequency, it just bypasses you if your body does not resonate or need that frequency. So, no. Now, I will tell you this, that if you have sensitive people and the frequencies are working, then they could get a Herxheimer reaction. So there is that. Just be very cognitive of your clients, and let them know that if they're not hydrated, they may have that reaction. If they're feeling like something's just too much, just have them message you or something so you can turn it off. But typically, no, I do not find that as an issue. It's very rare I get somebody that says, "Ooh, I can feel that and I need you to turn that off."
Yeah, I agree 100%. Denise would like to know, after you do the inner voice, vitals, comprehensive, etc., what are your steps for helping someone interpret their reports to pick out key areas to focus on?
Okay. This I'm actually going to do a training on because I feel like it is very much needed. Um, there is a very simple way to do it. And if you will do the inner voice and then you will also do the body system scan, you're going to get some very important information. And if you will take that information from your inner voice and your body systems and then go into your vitals and start looking at the things that match what are being brought up in those reports, and then scanning the comprehensive to figure out a little bit deeper about what's going on, that is going to be the key. The thing is with, if you're not a practitioner, if you're not really key on looking at the scans, I can pretty much scan through them and go, okay, well, this person's got a lot going on. Let's figure out, where the root is. A lot of people can't do that. They don't understand that. But your inner voice and your body systems gives you the keys as to what's going on with the client. And you can do maybe just two sets of those scans, take that data, and you're going to know exactly how to help that client. Just stay simple. If it says that they need more hydration, work on hydration. If hydration shows up, on their inner voice on all four of those reports, they've got a hydration problem. So let's start there, because if they're not well hydrated, that's a big problem. Yeah. So just, start simple with your clients, and then the more you do this, you're going to figure these steps out. And then if you go further into the university, if you can and want to, then phase 2 will help you start to connect those dots. And that course, Head to Toe, is an amazing course to get into. If you can do it, it will help you.
Beautiful. And I think the other thing that's really important to mention to for people to understand is, please don't go sending people reports without explanation, because 1, you'll probably freak them out. 2, they don't know how to interpret them. And let's say, for example, bacterial virus or something comes up, like tuberculosis or raccoon parasites or something. They're going to be like, oh my gosh, this is just, this is just rubbish, because they don't understand how to read it. The thing about it is with, we don't have raccoons here. So people are like, well, how is that even a thing? It'll pick up the frequency closest to it. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have it, but you are holding the frequency to it. I remember speaking to a client recently when tuberculosis came up, and I actually said to them, it can actually be even systemic and ancestral. So, there could have been someone in your ancestry that actually had tuberculosis. And she actually thought about it, and she was like, actually, do you know what? And she pinpointed the person in her line, in her lineage, to actually share that with me. So it's phenomenal. But for someone who doesn't know how to read the scans, would just look at that and go, oh gosh, it's telling me I have tuberculosis. That's crazy, right? So I think it's really important to make sure that we take the time to run through the reports with people. But as Tammy said, pick up those key things. You don't need to know everything. And I think that's the important thing with this technology to know, is it's not your job to know everything about this to get started. by practicing and sharing with people, you learn as you go. Like CMV virus came up for my mum last year when she was in hospital. I'd never even heard of it before, but by clicking on that button and reading it, when the immunologist came in, I said, have you tested my mum for CMV? And he goes, actually, as a matter of fact, yes, that was partly in the profile of our tests that we did do. And I said, and he said, it is showing in her body at the moment. And I said, well, I know that this virus only generally shows in people under the age of 40. Now, my mum's definitely not under the age of 40. So how do you explain that? And he's looking at me like, how do you even know this? I'm thinking, well, I just clicked on a button on my scanner, but I didn't tell him that. And it was because her immune system was so shot, for other reasons anyway, that she went against my recommendation. Her immune system was shot and it had re-triggered everything that had happened in her body. That CMV virus, it re-triggered shingles, all sorts of things. And that's what the immunologist said to me. He said, this is what I'm seeing a lot of, is all this re-triggering. So for me to be able to ask those questions and get that validation was really interesting. So yeah, I just wanted to share that. Now, Ali wanted to ask, she's been sick in the last week. She was just wondering why on her easy scan it picked up on viruses, but when she did her body systems, many shows up many. I'm not sure what that means, but I'm thinking maybe what she's talking about is on the EZ scan, maybe the viruses didn't show up. So I'm guessing that's probably because it brought it back into homeostasis. It's only going to show what's a red and a red. It's not going to show you what has been realigned. But then when she did her body systems, it showed up a lot of them. Is that what you mean, Ali? Maybe you can just unmute yourself and just share, honey, if you want to. Ali, did you want to just clarify that one? Otherwise, we'll just... No, okay. So Paige asks, on the inner voice scan, it suggests trace minerals as well as just minerals. Do you know the difference?
Well, you have your trace minerals, which are your just teeny tiny minerals. Your well, I do know the difference, but to articulate that's a little hard. So you've got your minerals from your plants and your foods and things like that, and then you have your trace minerals, which your cells need. So there's a little bit of a difference there, but I can put something in the group and it'll help you a little bit more. I'll do that.
Perfect. Thank you. This is a great question from Amanda Addy. I feel it's probably going to be a corporate question, but you might know the answer. With the Cepheid, but it's a great question in regards to the Cepheid frequencies. Do you know if they're going to put those specifically like in Cepheid so that we can add them to playlists?
Okay, repeat that again.
With the Cephidots, you know how we come up with the frequencies like specific arthritis or cellular restore or perfect body. I always get offended when it tells me perfect body weight loss. I think it's that, and then it tells me not to have coffee. I'm like, I'm not playing today. But do you know if they're going to add those specific frequencies to the general
library,
so that we can add them to a playlist?
Yeah, when we were at Day of Discovery, when they released this last September, Lauren said that those were proprietary combinations. So I doubt they will. When you go to corporate, if you get a chance to go to corporate, you're going to be able to see some further things that they are doing and different equipment, should I say. Like we have like a red light bed that you can lay on, and also even your theta chamber. Both of those equipment have proprietary frequency sets in them that you get to choose from, and they're not going to let you know what those frequencies are within that, because it's been extremely successful for them to help people get like away from drug addictions and things like that. So probably not would be my answer, just based off of what Lauren has said. So there you go.
Cool. Now, the next one, there's not many words I don't know how to pronounce, but I actually don't know how to pronounce this one. It's in the chat. Would dysmenorrhea work remotely? I tried on my daughter for 20 minutes, but it did not seem to help.
So I
That's
think that is with her cycle. Um, am I correct in that? I'm pretty sure I'm correct in that. So it may be that she needed that longer, or what you
oh
can do,
yeah.
you can imprint your pellets with that. You can be imprinting a Cepheid dot with that frequency if she'll wear it. You can, put it around the, female area on the underneath the belly button if you need to. Also wearing some jewelry and then broadcasting it for her, because I'm one of these people that I do a full spectrum type of approach with everything.
Yeah.
I will imprint the pellets, I'll imprint jewelry, I will broadcast it for them, and then if they can even you know take the pellets at home while I'm broadcasting, it just helps it. So it
Yeah.
helps the body recognize those things.
I agree. And I think too, exactly that, coming from a holistic approach rather than just one thing. Are you creating a playlist? How long, running it for 20 minutes may not make a difference. It may, but that person might need longer. Do you know what's really good for like menstrual pain and stuff is the 660 band. Seriously, unbelievable. I've been meaning to do a post on it, but I haven't got there yet. So that's something to note as well. Ange would like to know, with the Solex Gold, and I'm sure lots of people are getting Solex Gold this month because it's a promo that when you bring someone on a device, they are going to get a free bottle of Solex Gold, and so are you. So that's really exciting. Would you recommend to heighten, to input frequency in it to heighten the effect? I add it to my greens, so then I put it on the scanner. Would I put it on the scanner to add frequency?
Absolutely.
And you could add any
Anything
frequency to that. Yeah.
anything you can add frequencies to, because what that's going to do, you guys, is that you're taking those frequencies internally. That's how I've seen Lauren explain this, is that if you're taking the frequencies internally and then you're also broadcasting it to somebody, and then let's say you take those greens with the gold in it, your body's going to recognize that much quicker and utilize it faster, more effectively.
Beautiful. David asks a question here. Are there any time restrictions when running playlists? I have been running frequencies since 2019 and find I can run longer than most recommendations. I have asked my collective and they have responded, no problem.
Yeah, no problem.
Beautiful.
I would say the same thing.
Yep. Absolutely. Okay. Oh, scrolling. Emotions. I'm not sure if that's a question. ADHD homeopathic list available. I've imprinted it into sugar pills. Maybe that's just a response.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, we're still going with responses. Let me try and find a couple more questions. What have you found to be one of the best ways to open conversation with someone in interest, to interest them in a scan? If it's a health practitioner, would the approach be would it be different? So if so, what should be emphasized, or what info is most effective to send people? Great question, Denise. Thank you.
That is a very good question. So what I have found is that whenever I first started doing this, I was about scanning everybody and sending them a report. And
Yeah.
I got a lot of pullback, and people were like, holy cow, what is that? I don't even know what that is. That's just too freaky. That's too weird. So now my approach is that whenever someone responds to something on my Facebook, or maybe they private message me, then I really kind of do an investigative questioning with them, asking them, what do you know about frequencies? Have you ever heard about Rife? Have you heard about bioresonance? Have you heard about biofeedback? Have you heard of anything like that? Have you ever had that done? And if they typically tell me no, and I don't even know what frequencies are, then I will not even touch the other um, scan availability within our scanner. I will only talk about the inner voice, because the inner voice is self-explanatory. You can send that to them, and then they're like, wow, this just really pinpoints me right, perfectly. And I'm like, yeah, I know. So what has happened with me, and how I've been so successful is I offer the inner voice almost all the time, and I get a lot of takers on that. And it may be a long process, guys, where you're doing the inner voice with someone, maybe somewhere up to 2 and 3 months before you finally. Sometimes they'll we'll be talking, chatting back and forth, and in between inner voice sessions, and they'll bring up something on their report, and I talk about it, and then they'll go, well, what does this mean about the vitals? Because I pretty much wait until someone starts asking me questions, because in my mind, that is where I'm going to get the most response from. So I wait for that door to open when they start asking questions about their reports and going, what does this mean in the vitals? And then I'll expand a little bit more and say, you know what, we have several different scans that we can run. Have you ever had blood tests done where you didn't understand how to read them? Oh, yeah. Well, I have a particular scan that covers over 800 line items that will kind of show you how your body is, uh, how do I put it? I pretty much tell them that the frequencies, um let me back up just a little bit. I will talk with them and just let them know that that these are the reports kind of show you how your body's responding with the frequencies around you, with way your body is actually responding to, whether or not it's a perfect heart, because we know what a perfect heart, the frequencies are for a perfect heart. So I let them know that I have something that's a little bit more uh, explanatory about what's going on within their body, and that opens the door where I can have a one-on-one Zoom with them and show them their report, explain their report to them, show them how they can use that report to their advantage. Because your reports, you can touch on those words and you can read what it comes up with. A lot of people don't know that. They just look at the report and go, well, I don't even know what all this means. Well, talk to them, show them what this is all about, and then put your screen up on the Zoom call and let them see the scanner so that they can kind of, a lot of people are visual. They need to see what you're doing, and then show them how a scan is conducted. And that just everybody that I've worked with that it's new to, they're just like, wow, this opens up a whole new world for me. And then you educate, you keep educating, and then you draw in the right people. So that's kind of how I've worked. I've never just thrown the scans at people. I won't do it.
Yeah, beautiful. And I think that that is so important because it scares people off, and people don't know how to read the reports. There's so much information. It can be so overwhelming. There's no way. So yeah, I love that. Stephanie is just asking, it's a pretty easy answer to this one. My daughter with autism has major dental issues. Should I delay surgery and try a more holistic approach?
Do you have the ability to get a biological dentist where you guys are at? Because that's what I would look into, is a biological dentist for the dental issues. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Yep.
I
I mean,
mean, I would work with a biological dentist, because they're going to understand the autism on top of the dental, and
yeah.
you're going to get a lot better service that way. I would not go to a regular dentist. I mean, that's
Yeah.
just my personal opinion.
I agree. And I think too, it's difficult for us to say like whether you should or shouldn't. That's a medical decision there. So that's not something we can lean into. But
Right.
um, will it support and help? Absolutely. And as Tammy said, maybe just try and find someone that's holistic, that understands the whole picture, not just from one point of view. So
Right.
but there's lots that you can do to support, and there are dental parts to the scan once you get to a certain level of the training as well.
I have been doing some dental scans for her, and I've been running them overnight.
Good.
Just throwing it at it.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. And thank you for asking the question, because I think looking at it from a holistic perspective, absolutely, you're doing the right thing for sure. Katie Jane's just asking, Tammy, so you send the inner voice with the vitals component always, or do you not?
I do, yeah. I always do. I have never really done the one where you don't get the vitals at all because people, that gives them a piece of information that they're just really curious about, and it just opens that doorway up. So, and if you're educating them on what some of those things mean, then they're going to want to ask you more about, well, what's the vitals, so then you can actually work with them on that.
Yeah, I really like that actually, because I'm the opposite. I never send the vitals. I never do it with the vitals if I'm doing the full scan, obviously. But if I'm just doing in a voice, that's a really good point, because then it does open that question to be able to explain more. So I think for me, so many light bulb moments, FYI, today. I hope you all are just enjoying this, because I am. I love that, because I never do it when I do, obviously, inner voice, vitals, and comprehensive. But if I'm just doing the inner voice, I need to get into the habit of doing the vitals component as well, because then it's going to open up to more information. So that's brilliant. Thank you.
And you know what that means. I mean, you have the two buttons on the inner voice. You've got the one on the left that doesn't give you those 4 categories underneath on their reports, but the one with the heartbeat and the microphone will give you a little bit of information on what's going on systematically. So I never do the vitals, until they're ready to dive into that. And I always prepare them. If I run this, it's over 800 line items. And what I don't want you to do is freak out, because this is just a recording of your frequencies in this moment in time. So when we go over this, it's going to take several scans before we really see what is consistently showing up as a problem.
Yeah. DJ.
I'll just reiterate, exactly what Tammy just said was my experience at the Mind Body Spirit. So I would always only ever do the inner voice on its own. And then Paige said to me, oh, you should always do the one, like the combined one. And I was like, oh, really? Okay, let's do that. And every single person that, like, it piques so much interest. And I had a lot of people say, oh, well, I want the more in-depth scan then to see what these things are. Like, can you tell me like what levels? And I said, well, I can, but I need to do more in-depth scans for you. So it really piques people's interest. They can see how the correlation between their emotional being and how it's impacting their physical being in that snapshot, like what Tammy just said, like just in this moment. And it's been, that's all I'll ever do. I'll only ever do them together. It was really powerful.
Love that. Yeah, thank you for sharing. That is so good. So Denise just wanted to, in regards to her question earlier, if you offer an inner voice scan to someone, do you follow up and offer to run a playlist for them and give them an experience?
I have 2 offers. I offer monthly inner voice for in US dollars, that's $49. And I give them an inner voice report. They're required to send me their voice before 10 o'clock every morning. I run their scan, send it to them, and it's $49 Monday through Friday. I do not do it on the weekend. I used to do it on the weekend, and I thought, no, it's time. And let me tell you, I have found that if you don't do it on the weekends, they are anxiously waiting on Monday for their tones.
I love
that has just been such a fun thing to see, because I thought, oh, these people need their stuff every day. I've got to work on the weekends too. But then when I took that away, I'm finding that people are just so anxious to talk to you on Monday again. Now, I also offer something where it's the inner voice, and then I will broadcast a customized SEPI playlist for them for a full month, for anywhere for 30 minutes to an hour. And that price point is a little different. It's $79 if they want it for 30 minutes. And then it's $99 for the month if they want it for a full hour. So, and those people are typically the ones that have done inner voice for a while, and then I kind of sampled Cephis for them, and they're like, do you do that too? And I'm like, sure, we can do that on monthly. It's a little bit more expensive because you're tying up my scanner, but most definitely we can do that. So those are the two things that I do that a lot. I rarely do settings with, unless I'm doing my health coaching with clients to do, let's look at your scan results. Let's do a health plan. I am a lot about the inner voice and the inner voice with Cephis because I'm finding great success helping people that way, because they are finding that their emotional baggage is getting lifted. They're getting, even, I've got people that they tell me, Tammy, I swear my hormones are better just with this inner voice work. They feel like they're sleeping better. I mean, they're getting a lot of benefits just by inner voice and Cephis. So it's the people that are having chronic health issues that I actually work with and do life health coaching with all the other scans. So that is kind of the way I work. I'm not all about, you need the scanner in your life and you need to do this every day. Yes, I do believe that, but they need to experience it first. And this has been the best way for me. And I retain my people because they've been feeling it for, months, let's say 2, 3 months. And then they finally dive in. They go, I got to have one of these. So I'm just very patient like that.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you. One last question from the field, and then I have one last question as well. So David is doing a Zoom tomorrow, which is super exciting, and I'm going to share our slides with him, so he'll be able to utilize those as well. But he's doing it for a friend of his who's a doctor, and there will be a mix of sort of practitioners and patients on the call. He was planning on showing them how the scan works by doing his own update. I don't see it intimidating anyone, or I don't think he's wanting to sort of it to be overwhelming. What do you feel when doing a presentation for the first time? I think that most of these people have not experienced it before, so I think that this is like the first time they're seeing it. So what would you suggest?
I have done this for several presentations, like at chiropractors' offices. I'll give you an example. I did this back in Michigan when we went to the Day of Discovery in March. What was it? Two Day of Discoveries ago, and we actually went into a chiropractic's office, and there was a group of probably 40 the first night, and then the second night we probably had another 30 or 40. I actually went through and demonstrated everything in the scanner. And do you know, out of that, we had a lot of questions, but we opened the door up for people to come in, and we just did an education. I just educated people on this, and we have more people reporting back even now to this day. The friend of mine that I did this for, she goes, Tammy, I still have people coming back to me based off of your presentation. Now, that was 2 years ago. So she's still getting people coming back to her and saying, remember that girl you had come and show me about the scanner, and I know you use it, but can you tell me a little bit more about it, and how can I, be a client of yours using it? So I say it's a good thing. Show it. I mean, honestly, if it doesn't resonate with them and it just freaks them out, they're not the right audience anyway. And they're not even, but maybe further on down the line, they'll come back and they'll go, somebody showed me something about that. I'm going to go check back with that person that showed me. So don't be afraid. Just, put it out there.
Yeah.
Because some people just don't know.
I just had an idea actually as you were talking, Tammy, because that's how my brain works. And next Saturday, I'm going to do a presentation for anyone who's wanting to sort of look at the technology, hasn't seen it before or whatever. So we have a really beautiful a slideshow that we do, introduce them to frequency. What is it about? You know, we talk about Nikola Tesla and Albert Einstein and Dr. Royal Rife and blah, blah, blah. Now, what I'm thinking is that's about a 40-minute presentation, just as a very blanket intro. What I'm thinking to do is to do that and then follow it up the following Saturday, a week later, with an interpretation of the scan. So what that would do is people can jump on, look at the information, go, oh yeah, I really want to scan, that would be great. Then they can go back to the person who invited them to the call. They'll do an inner voice scan, whatever. And then the following Saturday, they can be listening to their inner voice, so they can send them those reports. Listen to that for a week. Don't send the vitals and comprehensive. But then on that next following Saturday call, we go through how to read your reports so that then they can be sent their reports and then follow on from there. Do you think that's a good idea?
I think that's a great idea.
I think that's a great idea.
That is a great idea.
So there you go, team. That's what we're going to do next Saturday and the Saturday morning after. So 3 Saturdays in a row, which will be exciting. I have one closing question, and then I will promise you I'll let you go. Tammy, you are at the moment, #1 QLA in Solex. Give us your top business tips that you would recommend, because there are some serious business builders on this call today, and many of them are new. Can you please give us your top tips on how you got to where you are and what you would recommend?
Absolutely. I would tell you, even when I came into this and I was afraid to even come into this and I left my job, Spirit told me, you show up every day and you do your best. That is what I do. I show up every day. I come into my office. I work as if I'm working for myself always. Now, that's not to say that I may have times or days where maybe I'm just not feeling my best, which is very rare because usually I feel pretty good almost all the time. But let's say I've worked maybe 12 hours, the day before, and the next day I'm like, you know what, I'm going to scale that back, but I'm still going to work that day. And I'm still doing my content. I'm still answering my questions. I'm still very visible and very present for my team. My team knows that, and I can't read minds, but I tell them all the time, if there's something you need from me at all, I'm here. I'm here. This is my full-time job. This is what I do, but I'm working my business too. So if you need me and you need something from me, you better let me know, because I don't know unless you tell me. So that is something, and of course I have my team chat. I always make sure I'm interacting. But if I do go on a vacation, I let people know, hey, I'm going on vacation, but you guys can reach me at any time. You can text me, you can still message me. I will answer you when I can. But I have never, ever, I just take my business very, very seriously. That if you're not present for sometimes up to a couple of days, you will lose some of your people underneath you. And then you kind of, the way you do your business kind of sets the tone on how the way your team is going to do their business too. So if they see you working all the time and getting education and getting all the phases of the university completed, they're going to do it too. If they see you pushing, however many scans a week or whatever, they're going to do it too. So that's kind of what I've been doing. And I let them know that, hey, if you need help building your own Facebook presence or whatever, I'm here to help. So that is how I've been successful. It's all been through Facebook. And, I am not really much in my community. I'm starting to get into my community. I've got some events going on here in Oklahoma where I'm going to be a part of, and I'm starting to get into the community because I think I've pretty much saturated Facebook, but I still plug along. I'm still doing everything that I did from the very get-go, if not even more. I mean, when I started this, I was working 10, 12 hours a day. I still work 10, 12 hours a day. I don't sit back and just collect a check. That's just not I don't do that. And a lot of people in network marketing will do that. They'll start getting their payment, and then they sit back and they collect a check.
Yeah.
So don't do that. Keep being present.
Yeah, thank you.
Even when you don't feel good, just, put on that happy face and put your frequencies on and do the best you can.
Yeah, even if it's minimal, there are days when, stuff happens in our lives. I get that. But I do agree, just that minimal to keep that momentum going, right? Because it's one saying that's always stuck with me: what we do, we duplicate, and you do see that. So that's really important. Which brings me to, guys, please make sure if you haven't got our Frequency Soul Collective portal, that is essential place to start, not only for you, but then for your people coming in, because once you've done it, you will see how powerful that portal is to then be able to bring your people into. So, duplication is key. So Tammy, we thank you so much for your time today. We love and appreciate you so much. And everyone, thank you for jumping on. We appreciate and love on each and every one of you. Whether it be that you're doing this for the healing of self and the healing of your family, or for the healing of the collective, and to bring people in to join our collaborative. We're here to love and support you, whatever that looks like. So thanks everyone for your time. Have a beautiful weekend, and we look forward to seeing you all again soon.
And come to Day of Discovery in September, please.
We'll see you in September in USA, in Utah in September. And we also have then Day of Discovery on the Gold Coast here in Australia. So
maybe I'll be there. Who knows?
I was just about to say, maybe there's a number. If we can get a certain number of us to Utah in September, maybe someone can commit to coming to Australia.
Yes.
We would love to have you here.
I would love to come.
I know you would.
All right. Thanks, you guys.
Bye, everyone. Thanks, Tammy. Bye, everyone. Bye.
Bye, everyone.